Hey guys, this is Communications. Welcome to my review of Don't Open Till Christmas. Now, I've been doing a lot of these holiday-themed slasher horror film, reviews lately, and this is one that was on my list, and I should have checked it twice before I decided to check this film out, because it's pretty bad. Now, it wasn't so bad it pissed me off or anything. There wasn't anything in the film that I was like, "Urgh," so it's another one of those bad movies, but nothing like, I really don't see any reason why I need to rant on it, but I will review it though, because it is just, I like the premise, I like the idea, and it's just bad execution, bad editing, and I'll get into that soon enough. Anyway, Don't Open Till Christmas is a film that was released in 1984. It's a British horror film. Basically, the gist of the plot is that somebody with very little Christmas spirit is killing anyone in a Santa suit one London holiday season. And the New Scotland Yard, well, in this film, it's the New Scotland Yard, has to stop him before he makes his exploits an annual tradition. And it's directed by Edmund Purdom. And I guess Edmund Purdom, he was actually in Pieces. Well, directed by, I think, Juan Piper Simon. I think Juan Piper Simon directed Pieces. I might be wrong. Juan Piper Simon, I know, directed Slugs, but I don't know if he directed Pieces. I might be completely wrong on that one. That's the name that popped in my head for some reason. But he was in Pieces, and he played the killer in Pieces. And Pieces was a fun, over-the-top slasher film with, random ninja cameos and some good gore effects. This is no Pieces. I mean, Pieces is, in my opinion, Pieces is just a better film. Pieces is more entertaining, even with the random ninja attacks. This just, other than the scenes where, there's a killer killing people dressed as Santa Claus. Well, in Britain they like to call him Father Christmas. So there's a guy, dressed, killing people dressed as Father Christmas. And other than those sequences, the rest of it's pretty boring. It's pretty slow paced, and it's pretty honestly rather forgettable. Now, even the Santa Claus, the Santa Claus death scenes could be done better too. It's a low budget. It was only like $800,000, I think, in terms of the amount of money it cost. And it didn't do very well. I don't even know if it even came out in theaters. For all I can know, it might have had a brief release and then was released direct to video. Now, it's interesting. The story about, the film, you have the director, Edmund Purdom. He was originally, he only signed on to do the film if he could direct it as well. So he only signed on to be an actor in the film if he could direct the movie. And so, but during one point in the film, he actually left production. So then the producers of the film hired the writer of the film to start, taking from where Purdom left off. And then the writer got fired, and then they hired, I think the executive producer or the producer of the film started directing it. And you're like, wow! So we have three different freaking directors. One is credited though, and that's Edmund Purdom. And Edmund Purdom, he's just a really dry, stale actor. I liked him in Pieces, but in this, he's just really not much. Doesn't really have that much to do, and he's not even in the film that much. He's considered the star, but he's barely in it, and that really makes the film really disjointed because he obviously only filmed a few sequences before he quit production and didn't want to direct or be involved with the production at all. So they had the producers and the editors, and they had to work with what they had, and it just doesn't add up to a cohesive whole. You have the random sequences of gore with the Santa Claus is getting killed. You have a wax museum sequence, which I kind of liked. That was pretty creepy. You have a lot of gratuitous nudity, a lot of tits, a lot of TNA. You have a so-so performance by the female lead, Belinda Mayne as Kate Borowski. I thought she was all right. Alan Lake, who plays Giles, he's the killer in the film, and he's decent. He has a moment where I kind of like where he's talking about this girl who works in kind of like a porno sort of. She basically sits behind a glass window and talks dirty to people for money. And he has a nice little scene and kind of a little bit of an intelligent sort of sequence for such a dumb slasher film. And I thought it was a pretty good performance by Giles. He's effectively creepy, effectively scary, effectively intimidating. But he doesn't have that much to do. Where when he kills people, kills the Santas earlier, he wears like a clear mask, like the kind of mask you see in Alice, Sweet Alice or in Don't Look Now. And sadly, Alan Lake, actually, this is his last film. He died pretty soon after the film was made. So that's really too bad. I mean, I'm not, that's pretty sucky. So he wasn't a problem. Really, to be honest, the acting really wasn't the biggest issue for me. It was the pacing. It was the editing for one. There was some really bad editing at points. You had a big body count. You had a lot of Santas getting killed. Although they were really crappy, they were wearing some really awful Santa Claus costumes. So I'm like, is he just killing them because they're wearing, horrible, awful, shitty-looking Santa Claus costumes? Just a disgrace to Christmas with these felt, weak-looking piece of crap costumes. But no, really, he's just killing them. And also the killer, when you first see this guy, and he starts kind of intimidating the female lead, you already know that he's a killer. Like, this guy, his body type is the only thing that would fit the killer, the killer's, feet that you see walking around, and his face and his eyes, and it's just, they didn't do a very good job hiding the identity of the killer. You figure it out halfway through the film, which then makes the rest of it, rest of the investigation, which is half the film's padding, pretty much pointless. And so, but you do find out that Giles is the brother of Edmund Purdom's character, who is Inspector Ian Harris, and you find out near the end in one of the most just really really badly edited sequences I've seen in a while. It's very badly edited. But basically, you have before of course, you have all the Santa Claus kills, and like I said, that you got a guy gets unexplainably, he gets his head put in like a grill or whatever, and then he lights on fire, which doesn't make any sense at all whatsoever. And another guy gets speared through the head. You have another Santa that just it's just kind of a blur, this movie. I saw it a couple days ago, and it's just a really forgettable film, so it's hard for me to really wrap my mind around what happened in the film. But I did like, there was a cameo with Carolyn Monroe, and she plays like a singer, and she plays herself, and she's singing the song The Warrior of Love, and it's like a cheesy 70s, pop rock sort of song. It kind of reminded me a little bit of that, I think it's Laura Branigan who sang Gloria. Whoever sang that song, Gloria, Gloria, I really want your number, da-da-da. That really, that's what I pretty much remember. It kind of reminded me of that. It's kind of low budget too. And the killer's chasing a Santa Claus guy through the backstage, and of course he kills him. And it was a decent musical number, at least I thought, because it's cheesy, sort of late 70s, early 80s music that I enjoy. And it's Carolyn Monroe, so you can't go wrong with that, shaking her ass in that tight, sequin skirt of hers. But anyway, after that you had, a lot of other sort of... But really the death scenes, the way that they get killed is fine, it's interesting, it's different, but it looks really fake. And that's the biggest issue. They look really fake, they aren't believable at all, which really takes you another thing that, hurts the film. And then you have the ending, where you have the girl she was the one that was the final survivor girl, because the lead girl, she gets killed rather unconvincingly. And you have the final girl in this is actually the porno, she's like the talk dirty to sex phone operator. And the killer actually breaks through the glass to chase after her. And that's BS. And then she runs away. And, she gets captured by him, and he holds her hostage. And he goes and brings her lunch. And then she grabs a piece of wood, smacks him over the head with it. And she tries to escape, but she's like, where's the key? Where's the key? And he's like, I got this key? And then she throws chains at him, because he's using chains to hold her, and she throws chains at him, and the next shot is she's already out of the room. She's already running up some stairs and up to the top floor of the building. I'm like, how the hell did that happen? She just threw chains at him, and he just dropped the key, and she grabbed it. I mean, it's either bad editing or bad writing or both. I don't know which, but it was just really bad editing and bad writing, if that's the case. I mean, one moment she can't get out. She doesn't have the key. She just weakly throws some chains at the guy, and then she's out. She's out of the room already? Okay. And then the bad guy, the killer, Giles, he gets like in a scuffle with her. She puts the chains around him or something, and basically sends him flying over the railing, and he falls 20, 25, I don't know the exact amount of feet, but he falls a really high distance, hits the ground. You think he's done, he's dead. And she runs down the stairs, and of course, goes to check and see if he's all right, and somehow he comes back to life and strangles her. And then the next shot is just baffling, makes no sense. Next shot is just Edmund Purdom having a nightmare, I guess, and then he's dreaming about, how his brother, and how, the whole scenario, why his brother hates Christmas so much. Because Giles keeps talking about, I hate Christmas, I hate this time of year. And I get, he saw, his mother or his father, I think he saw his father, and he's banging some chick, and she's got her, top off and everything. And they're doing it in his room. And before that, he actually got a pocket knife for Christmas. That's kind of weird. And, for a little kid with a pocket knife for Christmas, here you go. Try not to cut yourself. And then basically he ends up seeing this act going on, the sex act between his father and some blonde. And then he freaks out, but he doesn't stab him or anything. His mother comes up and tries to close it, cover his eyes. And the frickin' father, I guess he smacks his wife and knocks her down the stairs and kills her or something. And that's why he hates Christmas. I don't understand. It's really confusing and it doesn't make any sense. Then the ending is literally Edmund Purdom. And the movie's called Don't Open Till Christmas because there was a little line said by somebody who works at the New Scotland Yard when Edmund Purdom got a package in the mail, and it says, "Don't open till Christmas." And then he goes in and finally, at the end of the film, opens the package, and right off the bat, I figured it out. I'm like, it's a bomb. It's a bomb. It's going to be a bomb. I mean, how much you want to bet it's a bomb? I'll bet $50 it's a bomb. And then he opens it up, and it's a music box, and I'm like, it's still a bomb. And yep, hits a certain new tune, then boom, explodes, blows off half of Edmund Purdom's face, and then it's the end of the movie, and you're like, what? Huh? It's just like, is the killer still alive? Is he a zombie? Is he a vampire? Because he can survive a 25-foot fall with no problem. And it's just, what kind of ending is that? It's just so random and abrupt. And then, of course, I forgot to mention the infamous castration scene in this, which really isn't much of anything. That you see a Santa Claus peeing in the bathroom, the killer, I guess, hid in the stall next to him, and then he just grabs a switch razor blade, and it's not, you don't really see the guy's dick getting cut off. It's just implied, and there's blood all over the urinal, and then you see the guy dead later in an aftermath shot. It's still not convincing looking, and it's not really not really that shocking. It just looks like there's ketchup all over the urinal to me. But there was just stuff about it that just, right, it's the pacing, the acting really wasn't the acting wasn't really the biggest problem. Some of the acting was okay. You have a random supporting character who likes to play the flute, who I guess is a porno director, and I think it's Cliff, his name, Gerry Sundquist. The guy, I don't really know where he came from. He was just added, I guess, into the film, at last minute, and it shows. And it just looks like a rushed film. It was just rushed. It looks disjointed because it is, because it had like 3 different directors. So then basically what you have is an interesting little sort of holiday sort of slasher flick, but it just doesn't hold up. It just doesn't work. And it's too bad because I like the idea of somebody killing the department store Santas. It's something different, but it didn't really work out in the end. It had some good shots. I liked the whole stuff with intelligent sort of, things that the killer was saying to the final girl in the end. I liked the wax museum sequence. I like the opening credits with the Santa Claus getting melted in the opening credits, you know. The score is alright at best. I didn't mind the whole Carol Monroe cameo. But as a whole, it's just a very lackluster, pretty much lifeless, dull, slow-moving, you know, not very exciting slasher flick. So anyway, if I was going to rate it out of 5 stars, I'd probably give it like 1.5. I definitely wouldn't recommend it.